Salve, Magister G here. Just going over some things we did in class about Roman numerals as they were a little bit confusing. This is my first effort at attempting to put something together like this for you, so if it's not exactly as entertaining and charming as it should be, and really without seeing my face, what would be entertaining and charming? I apologize, but it's still a work in progress. So to begin with, let's go over what Roman numerals are and aren't. First of all, Roman numerals are a counting system. They are not necessarily meant to do math with, unlike our numbers. And as a result, the Romans had no number to represent the concept of zero. Very important to see down here. There is no representation for the concept of zero. Our numbers are called Arabic numerals. They come probably some from ancient Phoenicia, which is where the derivative of the Latin alphabet came from also. Arabic numerals are 0 through 9. Where 0 functions as a placeholder to create larger numbers. The more zeros that are placed behind a number, it simply increases the value. And we use in terms of place value, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, etc. The Romans did not have the same type of place value system. Their numbers were used for statistics, not necessarily for doing mathematical figuring. These are your basic Roman numerals. There are 7 of them. I is 1, V is 5, X is 10, L is 50, C is 100, D is 500, M is 1000. The largest number that can be created with Roman numerals because of the rules of do's and don'ts is 3,999. If you needed numbers above that, so 4,000 and above, you simply used a line above a Roman numeral to indicate that the number was multiplied by 1,000. Now this can get a little bit tricky if you're not quite sure how to write the numerals to begin with, so we'll go over some basics about how that works. Now let's go over some do's and don'ts quickly. Don't put more than 3 of the same figure together. 3,000 is M, M, M. 4,000 would not be M, 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 M. Instead, it would be the numeral for 4, IV, with a line over it. Also, don't use 2 numerals that already make a number that has its own numeral. For example, VV would be X, 10. LL would be 100, C. DD would be 500, M. The Romans were very efficiency oriented and didn't like doing sloppy things like that. So you couldn't write 4,000 as M, 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 D, D, although some of you have tried that, because the Romans would never put a compound numeral to create a number that already existed. Also, don't subtract numerals that are more than 2 places lower value. So in the great scheme of things, look at it in terms of, let's go back quickly. V can have I subtracted from it. X could have VI. L could have X and V. C could have X and L. D could have C and L. M could have D and C. You would never write 999 by putting 1I in front of M, 1000. It doesn't work like that. You would have to go through a different process, which we'll get to when we look at the do's quickly. Oops. Do's. Do write the large numerals beginning with the largest number first. Now this may seem confusing, but that's because oftentimes we have stopped looking at numbers in terms of thousands, hundreds of thousands, etc. For example, the number that I have here, 1675, is not 1675, it's 1,675. So in writing it in terms of Roman numerals, you would actually start with 1,000, M, then 600, DC, then finally 75, L, X, X, V. Do subtract if a smaller numeral precedes a larger one. You cannot take away 1 from 50, for example, because of the rules about the way that the numbers work. You must combine 50 minus 10 plus 9. That's a little convoluted, but this is why we don't use Roman numerals for math. Finally, do add if numerals are equal or have larger numerals followed by smaller ones. So for example, In the case of 1675, M, D, C, L, X, X, V would all be added to create 1675. So here are some examples. Using the addition properties, 3 would be III, 6 would be VI, 5 plus 1. 57 would be 50 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1. 231 would be 100 plus 100 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 1. So in this case, going back to our idea about do start with the largest number first, this concept here in the first bullet point. In 231, the largest number is 200. So 2 C's form 200, then 30, 3 X's, then finally 1. Looking at subtracting, it's always the larger number following the smaller, where the first number is taken away from the second. So 4 is literally 1 from 5. 9 is 1 from 10. 40 is 10 from 50. 199, and this is where it gets a little confusing, is the largest number, 100, with 99, which is this. XC is 90, and then 9. So if you just simply basically understand that it has to be grouped according to numbers, and then you have to group them according to what the Romans would consider an order of operation. So the largest number first, that would be the C, the next largest, XC, 90, and then finally the 9. You can look online and find Roman numeral practice sheets. They're not overly difficult to do once you get the hang of them. And if you have any other questions, please see me. And please let me know how this worked out if you watch it and if it helps at all. Okay, voila.